Hi friends, Kung Fu Panda 4. Well, I finally watched it. If you've been around, then you know I was really looking forward to this movie, and it made my list of most anticipated movies of 2024. In fact, let's go into the archives and see what I said about Kung Fu Panda 4 in the annual recap episode. Kung Fu Panda 4. Why is Awkwafina there? Where are the Furious Five? Who knows? But I can't wait until this episode so I can tell you guys how much I love Kung Fu Panda. I should have known better. And honestly, I think I knew as the release date for the movie got closer and closer and as more and more promotional material was released. But I still had high hopes because I love this franchise so much. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I rewatched all the Kung Fu Panda movies before seeing the fourth one in theaters, and it was an excellent reminder of how good these three movies are. All three. The trilogy. What fourth movie? Hey there, movie buffs. Welcome back. This intro is going to be a little bit different because before we dive into today's review, I just want to take a moment to express my gratitude. We've hit a major milestone. 300 subscribers. I am absolutely thrilled and incredibly grateful to each and every one of you who has supported this channel along the way. Your likes, comments, and subscriptions honestly mean so much to me, and they really motivate me to keep bringing you movie reviews. So a huge thank you to all of you for helping us reach this exciting milestone. It's your movie buddy here, ready to talk about the latest movie I watched. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or follower, or maybe you're a new face, I am thrilled to have you here. You can expect spoiler-free reviews and my honest thoughts about the latest film that I watched in theaters or maybe one that I streamed at home. You can catch weekly releases dropping every Friday. Have a movie in mind that you want me to talk about? Hop into my DMs on Instagram, drop a comment on YouTube, or let me know on the podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, follow on Spotify, and follow along on Instagram so you don't miss out on what I'm up to and what's coming up next. So grab your popcorn, hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, and let's get into today's episode on Kung Fu Panda 4. Po must train a new warrior when he's chosen to become the spiritual leader of the Valley of Peace. However, when a powerful shape-shifting sorceress sets her eyes on his Staff of Wisdom, he suddenly realizes he's gonna need some help. Teaming up with a quick-witted Corsac fox, Po soon discovers that heroes can be found in the most unexpected places. I am going to talk about the franchise as a whole from time to time, but of course I am going to focus on the fourth installment. Overall, Kung Fu Panda has maintained complex themes while simultaneously being something both children and adults can connect with. I love that the franchise explores the idea of the expectations parents put on their children. Obviously, the idea that there's no special ingredient. Living in the present. Letting go of the pain from the past and being the best you can be, just to name a few. These films navigate these themes with nuance and heart. For the fourth movie, I don't dislike the idea of change. I like this idea that who you were in the past doesn't define your future. I love that. I love the idea that things won't always stay the same and to not be afraid of change. The character development is there, but it feels plain, compact. Watered down? Honestly, the whole movie felt really watered down compared to the depth seen in previous installments, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The character development is there-ish. I do want to say on a side note, if you've been here long enough, then you already know I can't pronounce things. All I can do is my best. Po and Jen have their struggles with change, and by the end, they both grow, kinda, as characters, having learned to accept change and that they can change. Moving on quickly, one aspect that Kung Fu Panda has always done incredibly well is its stunning visuals. While I've previously expressed my admiration for overhead camera angles in filmmaking, I don't think I've had a chance to talk about another thing that I really love, which is when movies use a different medium to tell the story. This is something these movies truly excel in and what really sets them apart. I love the vibrant 3D animation. These movies look incredible. Then they come in with the stylish 2D animation, and don't get me started on the shadow puppets in Kung Fu Panda 2. Phenomenal. I haven't watched these movies in a while, so when I rewatched them, I was literally in awe of the flashback scenes and the dream sequences. They're so good. I went off on a little bit of a tangent because the fourth movie doesn't have any of that. They do deliver some 2D graphics, and what I did like was that the movie maintained the look in terms of colors. A lot of the bright colors and kind of glow around Po, and of course the villain gets the darker, more harsh, cold tones. Despite this departure from the intricate visual storytelling of its predecessors, there's no denying that Kung Fu Panda 4 still captivates with vivid imagery. Moving on to the acting, and we're gonna keep it short. Jack Black is a legend, and unsurprisingly, he does it again. As Po, Jack Black brings his infectious energy and charisma, really elevating the whole mood of the film effortlessly. Po is such an amazing character, and Jack Black really makes him a character audiences can easily connect with, whether he's riding high on success or facing challenges. Viola Davis is an incredible addition to the cast, and I think she absolutely nails the villain role. As the chameleon, she really has a dark tone, commanding voice intensity, and she truly comes across as a threat. I am strictly talking about the voice work here. We'll get into the character a little bit later. Viola Davis has an amazing presence, and I want to say her performance makes the character feel big. More like she feels like she's imposing and threatening. And let's not forget James Hong's portrayal of Mr. Ping, a character who consistently steals the show with his heartfelt performance. Hong's voice brings warmth and authenticity to Mr. Ping, making him not only a lovable character, but also a standout presence in the film. Whether he's worried about Po's safety or excited about noodles, Hong's delivery never fails to charm audiences. Finally, I want to talk about the pacing of the story. It's evident that the movie takes on this brisk pace. Too fast in moments that are critical for character connection and development. While there are slower moments that allow for deeper exploration, they're sparse. This uneven pacing ultimately impacts our ability as an audience to fully engage with the narrative, particularly on an emotional level. Now, let's wrap up with my final thoughts on the movie. After going over some elements that I really liked, the real question is it worth your time? Let's lay it all on the table. I am going to be 100% honest with you guys. I remember not really liking the third movie when it came out. Like I said at the top of the video, I rewatched all 3 movies before going to watch the 4th one, and I have to say, the third movie isn't as bad as I remember it being. And it's better than the 4th movie. The 4th movie is the weakest in the franchise, and I would say, again, trilogy. Just 3 movies, no need to watch the 4th. I do stand by what I said. This movie is visually interesting, but it really does pale in comparison to the look of previous installments. Another element that doesn't compare, unfortunately, is the villain. Despite my high hopes and admiration for Viola Davis, the chameleon just wasn't interesting. I do like the look of the character, and I especially love the transformations. She's a very cool and unique character, but she lacks depth and complexity, making her less memorable. And the way the movie played out, she was just less threatening than past antagonists. I really didn't like Jen. Maybe it's because of Awkwafina's voice. Maybe it was because Jen basically replaced the Furious 5. If you're wondering where they were like I was, spoiler alert, they're in the credits. Say nothing and contribute nothing to the story. Getting back to Jen, maybe she was just an underdeveloped character that had development, but it didn't feel natural, almost as if the filmmakers were just ticking off boxes without genuine progression. Because the pacing felt rushed, the character development didn't feel genuine. And because Jen's development didn't feel genuine, the whole movie felt, again, watered down. Cheap, really. Not only the character, the writing, but also the floating heads. Yeah, floating heads instead of, I don't know, maybe more artistic 2D animation. Also, the DreamWorks logo, whatever that was, weird. I really loved the artistic style of the studio intros that they've used in previous films. I definitely think I'm past that point, but if you're thinking it's not that serious, it is. I love the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, and I've been letting you guys know for almost a year. This is not a surprise. What really surprised me is how for children this movie is. Now, before you tell me, Rocket, this is a kid's movie, You should know if you know, but if you don't, I love animated films and they can absolutely cater to both children and adults. Is my channel old enough to have throwbacks yet? Well, shout out to the Super Mario Bros. Movie episode that I posted last year. And if you've been around since that one, you really are the secret ingredient in the famous secret ingredient soup. In that episode, I did say I try to skip the movies that are for kids, and I did cite How to Train Your Dragon and Kung Fu Panda as franchises I love that do target a wider audience. But this latest installment in the franchise leans heavily toward younger viewers, which came as a surprise to me. This departure from the franchise's earlier excellence is disheartening. I do think the first and second movies are the strongest in the franchise, and they still hold up today. If you, like me, are a fan of the franchise and have the bar set where the franchise set it, and that's pretty high, then this fourth installment may fall short of expectations. However, if you have little ones who adore these movies, it might still be worth the watch. Just don't expect the same level of quality as the earlier films. Ultimately, while Kung Fu Panda 4 has its moments, the highlight of the whole movie might just be Jack Black's cover of Baby One More Time. Have you had the chance to watch Kung Fu Panda 4 yet? If you haven't watched it, what's holding you back? Not your cup of tea, not your genre. I'm curious to hear your thoughts after today's episode. And if you've already watched the movie, I want to know your take. If you honestly liked the movie, I definitely want to know your thoughts because I think this was a fine movie. It should have been much better. Either way, what did you think about it? Share your thoughts, opinions, and reactions. I am all ears. Overall, I think it's obvious I didn't like this movie, but it isn't without its good parts. There are some moments that I really enjoyed. You know, I saw a TikTok ad for the movie and the Daily Beast said Kung Fu Panda 4 is the best movie of the franchise. Wrong. I think if this was the only movie in the franchise you've watched, sure. I mean, everyone's taste in movies is different, but from what I've seen online, I think it's safe to say Kung Fu Panda 4 didn't quite hit the mark for a lot of fans. If you're looking for an engaging cinematic experience, you'd be better off revisiting the earlier installments in the franchise instead. The previous 3 films are works of art, and I just don't mean the 2D animation, but the 3D animation and the cinematography as well. Stunning. Additionally, the characters are well written, and most importantly, the villains are too. I think Viola Davis is amazing as the chameleon, but she was wasted in this movie. Po is a side character, and I was extremely disappointed as I came to that realization as the movie progressed. I felt like this movie was made by somebody who didn't watch the previous films. The story and the overall pacing and dialogue felt off, making it seem more like a drawn-out TV episode. I just felt like I was watching a TV episode where the characterization is off, not fully out of character, but off enough for you to notice. I want to say they nerfed characters too, but that's a whole other layer with spoilers. Maybe it was intentional for character development. Also, I'm pretty sure that character was dead, and it kind of undoes their story for them not to be dead. I mean, maybe I misunderstood what actually happened. Anyway, on top of that, the movie wasn't as funny as previous installments, but there were moments where I did laugh. I especially loved the subplot of Li Shan and Mr. Ping trying to help Po. I always love that pairing. I also absolutely love through all of these movies the ongoing joke about the Urn of Whispering Warriors. For fans of the franchise, it's clear that the previous 3 films set a high standard in terms of animation, 3D and 2D, character development, and motivation, especially for the villains of the franchise, and engaging storytelling. Unfortunately, Kung Fu Panda 4 failed to live up to that legacy, delivering an extremely predictable plot and missing the mark on the rich detail and quality that makes the series so loved by audiences. Alright, movie fans, that wraps up another episode. If you're enjoying the episode on the podcast, a huge thank you for tuning in. For our YouTube viewers, you'll find a link to the podcast in the description below. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. As always, thanks a million for joining me today, friends. Your support means the world to me. And remember, the movie talk doesn't stop, so tune in every Friday for a fresh episode. Don't miss out, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, follow on Spotify for on-the-go listening, and join the fun over on Instagram for behind-the-scenes sneak peeks and more movie shenanigans. Or just regular shenanigans. If you caught the last episode, then you know already that I've got tickets for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I like the Ghostbusters movies, the classics, and then I remembered I actually liked the last Ghostbusters. I'm interested to see how the story continues, but especially how the original cast is going to be used in this movie. I recently got tickets for Monkey Man, Dev Patel, and Jordan Peele. This movie looks awesome, it looks gritty, and it looks brutal. I am eager to get into a good action flick, and this one looks very promising. That is the last movie I have tickets for, and you know, I'm trying to watch Late Night with the Devil, but no one is showing this movie. The nearest theater is 19.6 miles away. I guess that's not that far. Maybe my honey and I can make a day of it. You know, he doesn't like horror movies, but it's supposed to be a comedy, so maybe he'll like it. But we'll see. For updates, I think I'm going to end up streaming Imaginary, which is fine. I've heard mixed reviews on that one. If I don't catch it this weekend, then I am definitely going to be streaming it. I'm thinking I might have to rethink that Sydney Sweeney horror flick Immaculate because I saw a TikTok that said it was good. The things he brought up were things that I liked. He mentioned body horror, it's brutal, jaw-dropping, and there's a single take shot in there somewhere, and I'm suddenly very interested. I remember seeing the trailer. It's spooky, but I thought it was funny. I just don't know how to take Sydney Sweeney as an actress lately, but maybe this movie will change my mind. We'll see. I am planning on watching Godzilla x Kong as soon as I get the chance. I will be on vacation when that movie comes out. So you guys are going to get a podcast exclusive episode. I watched Damsel on Netflix, and the next planned podcast exclusive is going to be for stop motion. If you're looking for more exclusives, a few months ago I got a request for Animal, and recently I got a request for the movie 6 Underground, so those are being added to the list. I have things loosely planned out, getting my ducks in a row. The podcast exclusives are coming soon. Last week I shared my thoughts on Dune Part 2. If you missed out on that episode, please be sure to catch that one on the podcast, and if you're on YouTube, you can click the top right corner of the video. Your feedback on that review would be awesome too. As always, I'm looking forward to you all joining me on YouTube, Instagram, and of course, the podcast. Don't forget to tune in on Spotify for those exclusive episodes. Your presence and engagement truly make a difference, and it really means so much to me. I value your feedback. It enriches our little community and makes it a fun place to be. Share your thoughts in the YouTube comments or hop over to Spotify for our Q&A and polls. Whether you're following on YouTube, Spotify, or Instagram at A.Rocket.Review, I'm eager to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, spread positivity, be safe, take care of yourself, and if you're wondering which movie is my favorite, it is a close tie between the first and second, but I gotta go with Kung Fu Panda 2. Let me know your favorite, and happy movie watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye!